session. So welcome to Zoom Tips for Attendees. This is a webinar designed, it's kind of a basic webinar for those who are not terribly familiar with Zoom. Maybe they've done a Zoom with their family or friends or colleagues. But this is going to point out some techniques and tools that you can use in a Zoom session that maybe you didn't know before or weren't aware of before, and you can be a little more of an active participant. So it's kind of makes things a little bit more fun and enjoyable. My name is Sue Breyer. I recognize some of you. I am a member of Division 33 and am presently serving as Vice President. I do the newsletter. I do a lot of their CTC and technical stuff. I'm also the Area 9 CTC rep, and I have been recently designated as a CTC specialist for CalRTA. So that's how I got tapped to do this, which was, it's really fun though. I really enjoy this. Again, I just want to remind you that this presentation is being video recorded. So if you need to go back and listen to this again, because I do cover a lot of material. So if you feel that you need to see this again and you want to kind of go through it slowly and pause or take notes, it will be uploaded to the CalRTA website. On the main page, you don't even have to log in. You just scroll down until you see the box that says webinars. You can click on that, and in a couple days, the video should be uploaded and you can watch that. Hopefully, you all printed out or at least have access to the 2 documents that I have attached to the invitation. Good job. One is a copy of the PowerPoint presentation for today. So it goes slide by slide, and you have 3 slides, and then you have lines on the side so you can take notes as we go through the presentation. The other one is, I'm going to be referencing that at the end of this presentation, and it's basically if you do not have a Zoom account, this shows you how to open a free Zoom account. You can go in, you can practice, you can go through all the tools and the buttons that I'm going to be talking about today. So that might be something you want to consider. Okay, so let's get going. First thing you will notice when you are part of a Zoom, when you log in and you click on the link to get access to the Zoom meeting, you're going to be shown 2 different pop-up boxes that show up. One will ask you to make a choice, join with video or to join without video. This is pretty basic. If you join a Zoom with your video, that means that your face is going to show. Okay, that you're going to come into the meeting and people are going to see you. Most of you have your cameras on right now, so you have joined with video. If you're having maybe a bad hair day or you just got out of the shower, you don't want anybody to look at you, then you may opt to join without video. And those of you, if you can see other boxes on the screen, some of them are black, and those people have joined without video. That might mean that they have come in by phone, or they simply have turned off their camera. You can make that choice right off the bat. So the default is kind of join with video, click the blue button, and you're going to come in and everybody will see your face. The other message that's going to pop up is this one down here where the red arrow is, and it says join with computer audio. That's kind of the default. Your computer has audio built into it. If you're joining by phone, you can join by phone call. Otherwise, your other option is to join with computer audio. This message will continue to pop up, by the way, unless you click this little box down here where it says automatically join audio by computer when joining a meeting. If you click that little box, you're not going to get this message every single time you join a Zoom meeting. This can get, so, the fewer pop-up boxes we have to deal with, the better. So if you check that box next time you join a Zoom, and I'm going to show you how to access that box in a different place. So if you didn't check that before, we'll be able to do that later. So those are your 2 options: join with video, join with computer audio, and then you should be good to go. Once you are in, basically what you're going to do is you're going to see your image, okay? You're going to see your image, hopefully, if your camera is on. If your camera is not on, this is going to be a black square, no image, and your name will be projected in the middle. Your name will be projected in the middle. I've got pointed out here on the left-hand side and a circle up here on the right. Some people get confused about these little icons up here, this little minus sign, the big box, and the X. For those of you who aren't aware of what those are, this minus sign is going to minimize your screen, or it's going to put it down into the bottom of your computer tray, as we call the bottom of the screen. You can bring it back up by clicking the box, and that's full screen. And of course, to X means that you're going to get out of the whole program. So be careful about clicking those. They aren't necessarily part of your Zoom tools. You're also going to see down here at the bottom, you're going to see attendee controls. And these are the tools that I'm going to be talking about today. Now, if you don't see them at the bottom of your screen right now, all you have to do, if you have a mouse, I'm kind of old school, I use my mouse on my desktop, you just wiggle the mouse around and that menu should pop up from the bottom of your screen. Or if you are using a laptop computer, you just use that touchpad, put your finger on the touchpad and move it around, and the menu will pop up from the bottom and you'll have access to it. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to make that menu, that toolbar down there, permanent so you can see it, and it's not going to be going up and down and you're not going to be looking for it all the time. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you how that works in a little bit. Okay, so this is what you're going to see when you get on. You might see smaller boxes. It depends on the view that you are in right now. This is speaker view up here. It says gallery view, but it's speaker view, and I'm going to talk about that. So you're going to have a big box here. You might have smaller boxes around that have the images of other attendees. Okay, we are on slide 5. Here are the two different views that you have a choice of when you attend a Zoom. And by the way, you can practice with these during this session if you want. It doesn't mess up the presentation. It doesn't mess up my screen at all. So when I point out things, you can actually do them on your computer and it's not going to make any difference to me. Okay, so you can kind of practice as you go. You have two different options of views here. One over here on the top right is called your speaker view. And that basically means that the person who is talking at the time is going to be in a big box in the middle. Everybody else will be in a smaller box, usually along the top or sometimes along the side. Okay, maybe on the right side. So that is speaker view. If you would like to see everybody's faces, then you're going to opt for this one down here in the lower right. This is called gallery view. It reminds me of kind of the Brady Bunch boxes, you know, where they're all looking at each other. So that is your gallery view. And basically your screen, a typical computer screen or even a laptop screen, as it says here, the gallery view, you could actually see 49 participants. I mean, the boxes would be pretty small, but you'd be able to see that many people in the course of your Zoom meeting if you want to go gallery view. Okay, so you could actually switch back and forth between the two depending on what your likes and dislikes are. So right here is the menu. Okay, if it says gallery view, that means you're currently in speaker view. If it says speaker view, that means you're currently in gallery view, and you would have to click this to go to speaker view. Those controls are in the upper right-hand corner, typically, of your computer. Okay, so you could click on it and you could switch views and it'll kind of show you the difference. Now, let me just tell you, kind of give you a heads up. When your presenter is showing you a document or a PowerPoint, as I am right now, I'm screen sharing and I've got the PowerPoint up. It may not look like those two images on the illustration here, okay? Because my document's going to be right in the middle of the screen and you might see things a little bit differently, okay? But you can click in and out of those two views and choose the one that's, you know, better for you, the one that you like the best. So those are the two screen views. So this obviously is a gallery view, okay? So this is showing you the participants in this particular Zoom. This one has 8 participants. Now you'll see that this guy has a green box around him, okay? So that indicates that Irvin at this point is the speaker. He's the one who's talking. So whoever is speaking in your Zoom session will have that green box around them, okay? If you were to go to speaker view, this is gallery view, but if you were to go to speaker view, Irvin here would be taking up the entire window of your computer, okay? Because he'd be in speaker view, and so you're gonna see him, and you're not gonna really see much of everybody else. You'll see smaller pictures, okay? So he is the one speaking right now. Now, say Juliet down here in the second row, say she has her speaker on too, all right? She has not muted her speaker. You guys are all, you know, have muted speakers, so it's nice and quiet. But say Juliet forgets to mute her speaker, and she's participating in the Zoom, and she has a dog barking in the background, or, you know, her telephone is ringing, that green box might go around her because she's making noise, and she's going to be indicated as the person who is speaking. So this is one of the things that you need to remember when you are participating in a Zoom. You want to keep your speaker muted at all times, your microphone. I'm going to show you how to very easily unmute yourself when the time comes, or if you're asked a question or you're asked to respond to something. It's a very easy tool to unmute yourself. Also, what you're going to see is you're going to see everybody's names, okay, right by their photo. So you should, some people include just their first name or their last name. Then you're going to see some black boxes in your Zoom, and that is simply people who have chosen not to join with their video on. So their video is off for whatever reason. They don't want their face showing, and that's totally okay. You don't have to have your video on. And so their screen is going to be black, and you're going to see their name right in the middle of that there. Okay, so that's basically what you're going to see in most Zoom meetings. Okay, now some of the tools that we are going to go through are listed right here on this black bar. This is the black toolbar that I was talking about. If you do not currently see that black toolbar maybe at the bottom of your computer screen, as I said, wiggle the mouse around, take the mouse, wiggle it around on the screen, and that should pop up, that toolbar. Or if you're on an iPad, or not an iPad, if you are on a laptop, rub your finger along that, the pad on your laptop, and again, that toolbar should pop up at the bottom, okay? And you can have access to that. I'm opening my chat here because people are chatting here. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the toolbar. As you can see, starting on the left-hand side where the red circle is, there's a microphone. That is going to cover not only the mic, which is attached right here to my headset, the microphone, but it also deals with the audio. All right, so microphone and audio, what you're going to hear. The second one is your video, and I'm going to show you all the different options there. Participants, you see a little number there. It'll be a different number today. We've got 17 people in today's Zoom meeting. Here's a chat feature. I am not covering the shared screen for participants because it's very, very rare when you attend a Zoom that participants are going to be sharing a document or sharing a PowerPoint. They're mostly going to be listening, and the presenter will be using that. So I'm not covering that today. And the same thing with recording. I am recording because I am the presenter. In order for the participants to record a session, they would have to be given permission by the host, okay? And that is a setting that the host is in control of. But typically I would not have participants recording the session without me granting that permission. The last little icon here is called reactions. That's the smiley face that has the plus sign next to it. There are two little tools there that you can use, and I'll cover that as we progress through the presentation today. All right, so I'm going to start with the microphone. Okay, I'm going to start with the microphone icon, which should be on the left-hand side of your toolbar on your computer or laptop. If you were to click that caret or that up arrow that's next to it, you're going to see this menu. And as I said, you could actually do this while I'm presenting. So if you want to do it, you can practice as we go. So if you click that little caret next to the microphone, this black menu is going to pop up, and you have a number of different items. I'm going to take you through each of these so you know what these settings can do. The first one will say select a microphone, and this is so other people can hear your voice. So make sure you understand the difference between a speaker and a microphone. The microphone is others can hear your voice. Sometimes it might be a headset with one of those swing-in mics. It could be a microphone built into your computer. The check mark simply indicates that that is the current microphone being used during the Zoom session on your particular computer. So, and you can switch this, and I'll show you how to do that. You could switch that and click on a different one if you want to. So you might have one listed here that has to do with your headset. The one that says same as system, that's your built-in speaker on your computer. Okay, so one of those will be checked on your computer. Now let me tell you, if you are using a smartphone or you're using an iPad, you're not going to see this big menu. You're not going to see all of these settings simply because the screens are too small for all of that to show up, especially on your smartphones. So this is what's going to show if you are using a laptop or a desktop computer. Okay, I just want you to know if you're looking around for that. Okay, so select a microphone. Obviously, there's two settings here that I could choose. Okay, so that's one of the things that you're going to see. You will also see the next item down is select a speaker. Okay, now remember the speaker is basically your audio setting, how you're going to hear other people. Okay, now just as with the microphone setting for my computer, I have two different settings on how I'm going to hear others. I can hear them through a headphone, or I can just unplug my headphone and I can hear them through my computer, which would be the system one. One of those is going to be checked, and that simply is indicating that that is the speaker that is currently active while you're participating in this Zoom. Okay, so one of those is going to be selected. All right, now here is, and I've already said this once before, but this is something that we need to constantly remind ourselves, and this is kind of online presentation etiquette, and that is when you are in a Zoom, keep your microphone muted unless you have to speak. And I will show you in a little bit how to, well, to unmute, all you'd have to do is click the microphone again. So click the microphone to mute yourself, click it again to unmute yourself. That's one way of doing that. But during a presentation, always keep yourself muted. That's basically the best way to go in and out of a presentation, is to stay muted. Okay. Now, also in that same menu here, if you were in that microphone menu, I showed you select a microphone, that you have two options if you're on a computer, typically. Select a speaker. Now, say you want to test them. And by the way, when you join a Zoom, my suggestion is that you try to join about 10 minutes before a Zoom session, about 10 minutes. Maybe 5, but 10 allows you to play around and adjust your microphone and your speaker, making sure the volume is working. It's just nice to be able to test everything to make sure you're good to go, so you're not scrambling around while the presentation is on. So that's just one of those suggestions. So now say you want to test your speaker and microphone to make sure that everything is working okay. And so once the meeting starts, you're going to be able to hear others and you're going to be able to, your voice is going to be heard. So if you were to click that, you're going to get this first little message right here in the first box. Do you hear a ringtone? All right, because it's checking your audio to see if you can hear a ringtone. So if you hear a ringtone and it's going to sound kind of like a cell phone ringtone, and it'll play it a couple times. If you hear it, click yes. That means you're good to go. That means you're ready to go. The audio's working just fine. You're not going to have any problem. If it is silence, you don't hear a thing, click no. You go down here to this second box. This is going to pop up on your screen. And notice this, it says you have 2 speakers. Remember I said over here, speaker, you probably have 2 of them. You have 2 speakers. I'm now testing speaker 2. That first speaker up there said speaker headphone. The second speaker says same as system. That's your second speaker. So now it's going to test this one to see if this one's working. It'll play the ringtone again. If you hear the ringtone, click yes. Yay, you're in, no problems. If you're still hearing nothing but silence, click no. And you're going to get this final little message down here that says, we have tested all your speakers. If you can test again and go through the same process again if you'd like, or you might have to join by audio with your cell phone. You might have to dial in with your cell phone or your landline even, in which case you would click join audio by phone. If you click that, a window's going to pop up, and I'll show you that in a second, that has a series of phone numbers that you can call in, and I'll give you the instructions on how you can do that. So this happens sometimes where something's going on with your computer, your headset, whatever, but don't fight it. You can still get into the Zoom with your phone if you need to. Okay, so just so you know, and you're not panicking. The last thing I want to point out is what I have in bold yellow here on the screen. Sometimes the problem is not with Zoom. Sometimes it's not with your headphone. It could be that you have muted the volume control on your computer. And that is typically found on your keyboard. On my keyboard, it's on the top row on the left-hand side. And it looks like a little speaker, and it looks like it has sound coming out of it. If there's a line through that, that means you've muted all of the audio sound on your computer. Or there might be a minus sign, which means that you have turned it down so low that you can't hear anything. So double check the volume on your computer. There's usually a volume icon in the lower left hand or the lower right hand corner of your computer. So check that too before you go through all of this or before you panic and try to go just log in on your phone. Okay, so that's just something to look at. So you've tested the speaker or the audio portion. So now you need to test your microphone to make sure that other people are going to be able to hear you. So you're going to see this box, and this will just be a continuation of all of those other boxes. Okay, it takes you through the whole process. In this case, to test your microphone, you're going to see a message that says, speak and pause. Do you hear a replay? So you can do the typical testing 1, 2, 3. You could say, hi, how are you? Long time no see. Pause a moment. It will play back your voice if your microphone is working. It will play your voice back. If you hear your voice, click yes. That means your microphone is working just fine. You don't have to go through any more testing. If you don't hear anything and it's completely silent, you're going to click no. You're going to get to this second box that says you have 2 microphones. Now testing microphone 2. That first microphone was the Realtek high definition. The second one says same as system. So now it's going to test this one. Hopefully this one will work. You're going to say testing 1, 2, 3. You'll pause, listen for the replay. Hopefully you'll hear your voice. If you do, click yes, everything is fine. If you still don't hear, you're going to get that third box again. We have tested all your microphones. You can go through the test again if you like, or you can join audio by phone. You click on that, you're going to get the phone numbers, and you can dial in that way. Okay, so this is how you're going to be testing things. All right, I've taken you through this menu. I showed you select a microphone. I showed you select a speaker, and then test speaker and microphone. Now remember I said if you need to join by audio, that a list of phone numbers is going to show up. This is what that box looks like. Okay, so series of phone numbers. The first one is a California number, but if you have a cell phone, you basically can call any of these numbers and you're not going to incur any long distance charges at all. If you are calling in with a landline, this one is like San Jose, California. These are out of state. So what you're going to do is you're going to call that first number and you're going to get a recording. It will ask you to enter the meeting ID number. That's this 11-digit number. This little box, by the way, will continue to appear on your screen. So you can just pick up your phone, punch in the numbers, and it will say, punch in the meeting ID followed by the pound key. Do that. You will then be prompted to put in the participant ID number. That's this 6-digit number, followed by the pound key. Once you've done those 2 steps, you're going to get a recording that says you have now been admitted to the Zoom session. Okay, and you're on your phone, you're good to go, not a problem. Okay, so that's what happens. Even if you don't go through all this and you just want to go to phone audio right off the bat, you can click that and go into phone audio instead of using a computer audio. All right. All right. Now that I've taken you through all of those long drawn out steps, let me show you the one-stop shop easy way to do this. Okay, so you don't have to do all of that if you don't want to. One easy way to do it, on this same menu that has the microphone, if you go down to the last item that says audio settings, you click audio settings, and you're going to get this white menu right here. Well, lo and behold, look at what's at the top here. Speaker, test your speaker, speaker headphone. All right, and notice there's a little drop down arrow here. If you click on that, remember over here, the speaker had 2 options. Well, if I clicked on that arrow down, it would show the 2 options and I could test one and I could test the other one. One of them is going to work most likely. You can adjust your volume. Okay, you can adjust your volume there too. You can test your microphone, see if your microphone is working. Test mic. All right, you're going to say the testing 1, 2, 3. You're going to wait for your replay. Hey, if that's not working, click your down arrow, choose your other microphone. Adjust the volume of your microphone. Notice mine is on full blast, so I hope I'm not blowing you all out. But full bore here. I always put it automatically adjust volume. That way I don't have to mess with that every time. So you can do it all right here. I just call that the one-stop shop, and it's all from that one audio settings, portion on the menu here. Now there's a couple other things that I want to show you about down here at the bottom, these little boxes. Okay, notice this box is checked here. Automatically join audio by computer when joining a meeting. So if you remember back on like the 3rd slide that I showed you today, I said you're going to get these pop-up boxes. They're going to ask you, do you want to join meeting by audio? If you click that right there, you're never going to get that pop-up request again. It's going to remember that you automatically want to join audio using your computer audio. So you could check that. This one, you may opt to check. Mute my microphone when joining a meeting. That means if you're joining a meeting, say, and you're eating lunch during the meeting and you're munching on potato chips, if you click this and you're muted when you enter the meeting, nobody's going to hear any of the sounds. So it's kind of a nice thing. You can always unmute yourself in the meeting if you like, but you could click that, and that means anytime you join a Zoom meeting, you're automatically going to be muted. This one here is kind of fun, and you can test that out a couple times even today. I have muted you all, or you've muted yourself, and I don't know whether, I mean, you can even try this out. If you have a keyboard, okay, on your laptop or your desktop, if you press and hold down the space bar, that long space bar on your keyboard, and you hold it down, that will temporarily unmute yourself. So if I were to call on, Doris Lawless and say, hey, Doris, I'm asking you a question. Would you please respond? If Doris held down her space bar on, can you talk, Doris?
Yes, I'm holding it down.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So it's
amazing.
Yeah. Now, and once she lets go, then she's back and she's muted again. Okay. So that's a really easy thing to do when you're running a meeting and everybody is muted. And if you call on somebody and you want them to respond to a question, all they have to do is hold their finger down on their space bar on their keyboard, respond to the question, and then when they release, they'll go back and be muted again. Okay, so that's kind of a fun little tool. Okay, so I want to show you those. Oh, and this is something I'm going to have you do in a little while. If you happen to have this menu open, remember we're on the microphone, the caret, audio settings. This accessibility over here on the left menu, accessibility. If you were to click on that, remember I told you about the toolbar, it tends to drop down and you can't see that toolbar sometimes that has all the, the mute, the video and all of that on it. This is a way to make it permanent so it stays up. You click that accessibility, and on the next screen in the middle, you need to find where it says meeting controls. And then you click that little box that says always show meeting controls. The meeting controls, that's the toolbar, the black toolbar that has all the different items on it. Okay, if you want that to always show so you never have to look for it again, this is how to do it. And I'm going to show you, we'll go through that in a minute. All right, we've done a lot. I've already covered a lot with you. So now we are going to practice, just like in school. So I'm going to give you a task to do, and actually, I think I want to, let's see here. I want to, okay. I'm trying to unmute you all, but for some reason, my computer doesn't like to do that. You may unmute yourselves if you would like to go through this. So here's your homework. You're going to do it right now, though. What I would like you to do is, okay, you already know how to mute and unmute yourselves because it looks like about 99% of you are unmuted. There are some of you who still are muted. So what I'd like you to do is go down to, can you find the microphone on the toolbar? Find the microphone on the toolbar. If you would click on that little caret next to the microphone, and then you'll see the black box pop up, right? The menu. Click on audio settings. Okay. Do you see a big white box now? Hopefully in the middle. Now I want you to go over on the left-hand column and I want you to go down to where it says accessibility. Click on that. And in the middle of the screen, underneath that black box, it says meeting controls. If you don't have that little box where it says always show meeting controls, if you haven't clicked it, click it now. And you will never have to search for your toolbar again. Okay? Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you have done that or you know how to do that? All right. And you can practice this, by the way. You don't have to do it like right now or you're stressing out because the boxes aren't showing. You can go back and practice this later. You don't have to do it right now. All right. So that's just one way of getting that. So let's see here. Do you still have that white box showing on your screen?
Yes.
Go up and click on audio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to do it? Yeah.
Go up on that left-hand menu, click audio. See where the speaker and the microphone testing is?
Yep.
Up there. So you'd be able to test your speaker. You could test your microphone. So that's how you're going to get to that. And those boxes that are down at the bottom, mute my microphone when entering or joining a meeting. You can click that. All right. And just so you know, when you practice, you're not going to break anything. Okay. You're not going to, and this is the biggest worry of people who, you know, are anxious about technology. They're like, oh, I'm going to click this and I'm going to break it. No, you're not going to break it. You're good to go. So don't worry about breaking anything. You'll be just fine. Okay. All right. We're moving on. So I need you to mute your microphones for me, if you would. I should see little red microphones with lines through them by your picture. You guys are amazing. Look at great students. Great students. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on.
Clicking.
All right. I'm still hearing people. I think we're good. Okay. So our next setting is on that toolbar is the video camera. And if you were to click on the video camera, the little caret next to the video camera down at the bottom on that toolbar, and you click that caret, you're going to get this black menu box on the right-hand side. Okay. Now notice that it's not nearly as complicated as the microphone menu that had your audio and your speaker, you know, all of that stuff. Notice that it says select a camera and there's only one camera listed. Okay, that's because your devices, typically your computer only has one camera, your laptop has one camera, your phone has one camera. So that's why it's not too complicated. There's going to be a check mark there. That is the only camera. Okay, now some people, if they have an older computer that didn't come with a camera, perhaps you purchased a camera, a small portable camera that you can sometimes click onto your screen, the top of your screen. If you have one of those, it's probably going to show up there as a workable camera, in which case then you could click on that. Okay. If you see your face, okay, then your camera is working, obviously. So you don't have to worry about that. If you're getting a black screen and you can't get your camera to work or whatever, all right, on my computer screen here, I have a little lever on the top edge of my computer screen that turns my camera on and off. If I moved my computer, see mine's up at the top here, and if I slide it, okay, see my image goes away. So that could be part of the problem too. So if you have one of those little slide things on your screen, at the top of your screen, that could open and close your video. So you got to check that too. And that has nothing to do with Zoom. That's just your computer. So if you can't, you know, get your video to work, check that. Maybe the video is being blocked by something. You need to check that. Okay, so double check that and make sure that that isn't an issue. If you want to turn off your camera, you don't want people to see you, just click that video down there, the video icon, and you're going to see the red line come through it, and that's simply going to indicate that you have turned it off. Your screen will be black, and there's a couple who have attended today's meeting. Their screens are black. It's totally fine. Don't have to have you don't have to have your video on. If you want to turn your video off and you want to get up and go to the kitchen and get a drink of water and come back, or you need to use the restroom or whatever, you can turn your camera off and nobody's going to see that you're gone. They're going to assume you're still there. So there's times when you want to turn it off and times that you don't. So your choice on that. Now this one's kind of fun. This is a virtual background. I noticed that some of you already have a virtual background, which is kind of fun. There's pros and cons to using a virtual background. Okay, let me show you on so if you look at my picture and I go to choose virtual background and I click on this, voila, there I am. Now I'm at the beach in the middle of the night. I wish, right? I think we'd all like to be there. Okay, that's what a virtual background looks like. All right, so if you, on that same menu where the video camera is, remember the first one was select a camera. The second says choose a virtual background. Okay, why would you want to do that? Well, number one, say I have my grandkids over at the house and they built a fort in my living room, which they do regularly when they come over. They wanted to build a fort. Well, and then they didn't take it down. And so I'm looking at the back of my family room here, and oh my gosh, everything is in disarray. And oh Lordy, I have to do a Zoom. Okay, I don't have time to clean up. I don't want anybody to see that. I can put a virtual background back there. Nobody's gonna see people walking back and forth. So if my husband were to come through that back door and walk through, if I had a virtual background, nobody's gonna see that. So there are times when a virtual background is nice. Now, how do you get to that? Choose a and one caveat here. If you have an older computer, you're going to handle what it takes to upload a clear virtual background. I'm just telling you that. If you have an older computer, or maybe you live out in a more remote area and computer signals are not real good, you might have trouble with this. Okay, you're going to see a lot of distortion, and I'm going to show you how virtual backgrounds can be distorted a little bit. To get to a virtual background, okay, I'm hearing somebody needs to turn off and mute their if you would mute, I would appreciate that. Okay. If you click choose virtual background, you're going to get this white menu right here. Okay. On that white menu where the red arrow is, you're going to see a little plus sign. Okay. You would click on the plus sign, and then you're going to click on a little box that says add image. You might get a message, if you've never done this before, you might get a little message that is asking you to download a virtual package. It takes about 10 seconds to do that, and so you could agree to it. It doesn't cost you money or anything. So you could download that package that will allow you to access and then upload a photo. Once you do that, if you have taken photos on your cell phone or on a regular camera and you've uploaded them to your computer and you know where they are, where the file is, you can go to that file, find a photo, click on it, and then click open. Click open. And that photo is going to be added down here on, whoops, okay. There we go, sorry. It's going to be added down here onto your menu. Once you have it on your menu, okay, I have 4 of them here that I chose from places that I've been. If you want to choose a virtual background, you just click on it. That's what I did. And like, here's a picture of Catalina. If I clicked on it, actually it's one of the ones that's down here, it would show up behind me. So that one that I had of me with the moon behind me, I would click on virtual background, I would click on the moon. Okay, now remember I told you sometimes there can be some distortion here. Now watch if I move. Okay, do you see distortion? Sometimes my hand disappears. That can be a problem. So you got to be careful about that. If you are going to use a virtual background and you're just going to be seated still and not moving around, that's okay. If you're doing a lot of movement, you know, I tend to use my hands a lot. This is not going to look good. You know, I raise my hand, look, my hand disappears. It's still there, but it's not showing. So got to be careful about the virtual backgrounds. Depending on the one you choose, I think the dark one worked better. So a darker background may be better. Less busy background. This one has a lot going on. It just kind of washes you out. I have this one. It's not too bad. This one's a little darker, still busy. This one makes me look like I'm hanging out in the library. I mean, you can put a background in. This actually is not too bad. There's not a lot of distortion. If you don't want to have a virtual background, you're going to click this black box that says none, and it goes back to your normal background for wherever you're seated. Okay, so that's a virtual background. It will work for some of you on your computers, and for some of you it will not work. Okay, or it will be very, very distorted, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not like a requirement. It's just one of those fun little things that you can do. Okay, practice time again. You may unmute yourselves if you would like. And I'm playing with my screen here so I can see you all. All right, here's homework. All right, I would like you all to turn off your video camera. So all I'm going to see is boxes. I should be able to see boxes, black boxes with names. Nice. Okay. All right. Doris, have you figured it out? Got to click your video camera down at the bottom. You find a video camera? Just click on it.
Where it says stop video?
Yep, click right on that, yes.
Okay.
And there you go. All right, everybody's looking good. Okay, turn your cameras back on. Very good. Now, if you have a virtual background and you know how to do it, go ahead and you go down to the little caret where it says where your video camera is, go up to choose virtual background. If you have one, go ahead and click on it and let us see some of your creative backgrounds. Yeah, see, Anita, the one that you have is causing a little distortion there. Judy, yours is a little distorted too. So sometimes your computers can't handle it. Doris, yours too.
Yeah, really bad.
Maggie's in the middle of the balloon, her hot air balloon. Okay, so see, that's sometimes, oh, Mary, I love that. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Mine won't let me do it at all.
I know, and sometimes they don't. It just depends on your computer, and you know, it just doesn't. So if it doesn't work for you, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. It's just kind of fun if you can do it, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. So, all righty. Okay, I need you to mute your mics once again, and we're going to move on. Okay, so I took you through the microphone icon. I took you through the video icon. The next one is the participants icon. And notice that it's the image of two little people down here, and it has a number next to it. When I took a picture of that toolbar, there were only 2 participants. That's why the number 2 is there. If you look down to the toolbar that you should be able to see, you should see that there are 17 participants today. So you'll see the number 17 there. So the toolbar will tell you how many people are actually in the Zoom meeting, including the host. Okay. Once you click on that, and you can do that now if you haven't already done so, you can click on your participants and you will either see a white panel show up maybe on the right side of your screen, or you're going to see a white box with participants, and you will see the names of everybody who is participating in the Zoom. So you could actually click on that now if you want to. As you can see, here is the white panel, and it's off to the right-hand side when I took this screenshot. At that time, there was only me because I was making the PowerPoint, so there was nobody else. Next to my name, my picture and my name, there is a little microphone and a little video camera. If you have your participants panel pulled up or box pulled up, if you look at your name, you should see a microphone with a red line through it. That means that you're muted. And if you don't have your camera on, you will see a red line through the little camera icon too, okay? You can unmute yourself if you want by clicking, hovering over that microphone. Don't do it now, but that's how you can control things that way as well. So this will show you all of the participants that are in the Zoom meeting, and you can tell whether they are muted or not muted. Okay, now here is a participant's box. So if you saw a box, this might be what it looks like. And I'm going to point out some of the things that you can do in this participants box. So in addition to showing the names of the people who are participating, in this case, it was me, and I created a second person named Mike Schultz. Okay, so Mike Schultz is joining too. Now, one of the things that you can do you can do more than two things, but here are some of the things that you can do from this participants panel. Say that Mike Schultz loaned his computer to somebody to do a Zoom, and that person's name, say, is Sally. Well, Sally doesn't want to enter the Zoom meeting because her name is going to show up by her picture. It's going to say Mike Schultz under her, okay? She can change her name. So all she has to do is, with her cursor, she's going to hover over either the microphone or the video camera on that participants panel, and these two blue buttons are going to show up. If she clicks more, she's going to get this little white message that says rename. If she clicks on that, a little window pops up. She can type in her name. Okay, she can type in her name, and that is what's now going to show up on the participants panel and by her picture, okay, during the Zoom session. So you can change your name even now. Say you don't want everybody to know your last name. You just want your first name there. You can go up, hover over the microphone or the video by your name, go up to more and rename, type in or take out your last name if you want, or type in a different first name, and then it'll show up on that participants panel. So you can change your name. And you know, like when my husband logs in on this computer to do a Zoom, my name is always going to show up. So he can change it and put his name in if he likes. Okay, a couple other things. Down here at the bottom, if you look at the bottom of your participants screen or panel, you have all of these cute little icons. These are kind of fun. So if you are in a presentation and the presenter is allowing question and answer time, you can actually raise your hand by clicking this little blue raise hand, and that raise hand, Donna clicked raise her hand, it's going to show up next to your name. Okay, it's going to show up next to your name. So if you're on that, you could actually click the raise hand icon and it would show up next to your name. Ah, Priscilla did it. I saw that. I'm looking at the participants panel on my screen. Good. Diane, good job. So you can play around with that. Here's another thing. If you say you're conducting a Zoom meeting, or you want to get input from other people, all right? And you say, well, here's a question for you. Click yes or no to this question. And you pose a question down here. You could click the green circle that says yes. You could click the red circle that says no. It's going to show up by everybody's name. And you can do a quick, kind of take a quick poll of what people think about your proposal. Okay, so you asked a question, they can give a real quick yes or no by just clicking on the green or the red. Okay, now, I don't know whether any presenter is really going to acknowledge this, but say I'm going too fast. You could click the go slower button and indicating that you would like me to slow down. I probably won't because I have to get it all in an hour. Or if I'm lagging and we're spending time, you can click go faster, and that's a hint like, come on, we need to speed this up a little bit. Or you can click that more button on the right-hand side with the 3 dots, and you get things like time for a coffee break. There's a little coffee cup icon, and you can click on that says, I think I'm ready for a coffee break, which I think is kind of funny. You can click on, I think it looks like a clock, and that simply means that you are away temporarily from the Zoom. And so, you know, don't call on me, that kind of thing. You can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So there are other little settings that you can do. So this allows you as a participant to be an active participant in a Zoom. Okay, so you're not just sitting there listening to somebody. You can actually do things along the way. Judy and Nancy they're clapping your hands. I like that. Okay, so that's what you can do with this participant panel. All right, the next item next to the participant panel is the chat box. And the chat box simply looks like a little voice bubble. All right, little voice bubble. And what in heaven's name do you need to chat about in a Zoom meeting? Okay, if you click on that, just as in the participant panel, you're going to either get a white panel to the right, like you see here, or you're going to get a box that pops up as a chat. So just a heads up, you can have the participant panel open and the chat at the same time. If yours are opening up as boxes on your screen, you can actually take your cursor and you can hold it down and drag those boxes around and position them in other places on your screen, so they're not right in the middle. So they are movable boxes. If it's the panel, of course, it's just going to be over there on the right-hand side. So you open that up, and this allows you to actually pose a question, pose a comment, or chat with somebody else who is also in the Zoom meeting. Okay, so you can do any of those things, and I'm going to show you on the next slide. So this is what a group chat, a Zoom group chat panel looks like. So if I have clicked on that chat bubble, voice bubble, this is going to show up either in the panel or the box. Okay. If you desire to pose a question or you want to make a comment, and I'm not allowing those kinds of comments or questions to be asked during a presentation, but you want to put it up on the screen, you would go down to the bottom of that chat box, and where it says to, you want to make sure it says everyone, to make sure that the message goes to everybody. See this drop down arrow here? Okay, make sure it says everyone. Then you're going to click on where it says type message here. So you got to click your cursor there, type your message, hi, how are you, whatever, or as you can see up here, can you repeat the points you just mentioned? If you type that down there and then press enter on your keyboard, press enter on your keyboard, it's going to go up and show up here at the top, and it'll usually have your name, and it'll say that it's to everyone. So you can post questions, comments, whatever. You can do those during the meeting. It doesn't disrupt anybody. And those comments can be viewed at the end of the meeting, and questions can be addressed at that time. Now, say you want to pose a question or you want to make a comment to one other person that's part of this Zoom meeting. Okay, one other person. What you can do is you go down here again to the bottom of the screen and see that down caret, that down arrow next to the word everyone. If you click that, you're going to see pop up the names of everybody who is in attendance at the meeting. You can click on that name and it'll say private message, message privately. Go ahead where it says type message here. You type your message, hi, how are you, to that person. Make sure it says just to that person. And then you're going to press enter on your keyboard. Press enter on your keyboard and you can send a message that way. Okay. Now, caution. If you are sending a message that is intended for one other person and you accidentally forgot to change it from everyone to that one person, just know that that message is going to be seen by everybody in the Zoom meeting. So you got to be very cognizant of the fact that you have everyone or you have a specific name listed down at the bottom. Okay, so that's just kind of one of those things you have to be careful about. I see lots of messages coming up on our chat bar. Very nice to see Mary Dixon posting there. Donna says, hi, Sue, hi. That might not be me. So there's all different messages that can show up there. Okay. Now, also along this toolbar, remember I told you I'm not going to show you about sharing your screen or recording. The last one is the reactions tool, this little reactions tool. And it's only got two little options here. So if you were to click on the reactions on your toolbar, you're going to get two choices. You're going to get clapping hands or a thumbs up. I do like the fact that there's nothing negative here, so there's not a thumbs down. Can you imagine giving somebody a thumbs down during the meeting? That would be kind of demoralizing. But it has two positive things, clapping hands or a thumbs up because you like what somebody said or you agree with them or whatever. So you could click that reactions. That little icon, either the clapping hands or the thumbs up, is going to show on your picture, okay, by your face on the screen. Okay, it comes up as a little icon, usually up in the upper left-hand corner, typically. So if you click, you can click on that right now and you can do a clapping hands or a thumbs up and it should show up on your picture on the screen. Okay, so you can do that. All right, nice thumbs up and clapping, all right. So you see where they show up on your picture, okay. And they disappear on their own after a few seconds, so they're up there for like 15 seconds or so. Again, that's just the reactions. The last button on the toolbar is the leave button. Don't leave now, please. Don't leave. But when you are ready to leave, I've had people say, how do I get out of this? I don't know how to get out. You click the leave button and you're going to get this message that says leave meeting. When you click that, you can provide feedback, which is like a single question and it allows a thumbs up or thumbs down response. You can do that. So that's how you leave the meeting. Okay, that's the toolbar. We're going to practice again. So I'm going to open up the screen so I can see everybody. You can unmute yourselves if you would like. All right. Boy, I must have gone really fast because, because normally I'm running out of time by this time. Okay, but this will give us time to practice. Okay, so let's try this. If you would like to change your name, you would go down to the participants icon. You would go up and find your name and you would hover over the microphone or the video camera and you're going to see, you're going to click more. And then you would go to rename. And then you could change your name. So maybe you just want your first name and you don't want your last name. You could delete your last name or type in a different name. All right. You could go back and change it back at any time. Okay. If I asked you a question and you agree with my question, what could you do? Where would you go on this panel?
Yes.
You'd go down to the bottom. Okay, you would go down to the bottom, you could click the yes. Or you could go to that more with the three dots and you could click the thumbs up if you wanted to, or even the clapping hands. All right, so you have those little icons. So if somebody were to take a poll, if I were to take a poll of all of you and I wanted a yes, no answer, again, I would say, here's the question, yes or no. You could go down, click a yes, click a no, and it's going to show up by your name. I can take a quick glance at the panel and say, oh, it looks like everybody's agreeing with that. Okay. Okay, so you can do that very, very quickly. What if you need a coffee break?
Go to leave to the clock. Go to the clock.
Well, you go over to the more.
The more.
Yeah, remember the more circle with the three dots. You would go there and you click on the coffee cup and then you say, okay, hey, I'm ready for a break. This has been a long webinar. Okay, go open your chat. If your chat's not open, okay. If you don't see the chat icon on your toolbar, at the right side of your toolbar, you might see more and ... All right, click that and you should see chat is usually right at the top of that menu then. All right, because sometimes it doesn't show up on the toolbar, sometimes it does, it depends. But if you go to chat, what I would like you to do is go down to the bottom and make sure that it says to everyone in meeting. So click that little arrow and it should say to, and then find where it says at the top, everyone in meeting, and then type a message, anything. Tell me about the weather where you live. Tell me where you live. Doesn't make any difference. But type a message and then press enter on your keyboard. Oh, you're welcome, Maggie. Oh, look at all the messages.
That message here.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Aptos. I love that place. Very beautiful. Nice place to live. All right. Very easy. Now, if you feel really brave, you can go down to 2 and you can click that down arrow, that little arrow, and find somebody's name, somebody you know, find their name and click on their name and send them a message. Try doing that.
Privately.
Make sure that it's going to just that person. Got to be careful about that. Especially if you're saying something that's negative. Oh boy, this is really a bad webinar. And then it shows up with everybody, including me. Okay. Now, by the way, when you send a message like this, I can't see it. Nobody else can see it. It's just between you and somebody else. Okay. Just so you know, I can't see that either.
I can read other people's private messages.
Oh, Lordy, that's not good. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I see it too. Wow, aren't you lucky?
What's
Can anyone else?
Everyone publicly. I'm looking at my settings. I don't know why. I see messages to everyone. I don't know why you're seeing messages between people. That's unusual. So, okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, go down to the reactions. Can you find the reactions on down on your toolbar? See, I'm looking for mine, and right now the reactions aren't showing up on mine. Can you see them on your toolbar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Either do a clap. Okay, some of you clapping hands or thumbs up, one or the other. Let's show it up on your screen there. Okay, very good. Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead and mute your mics. I have a couple things left to show you. And then I'll answer some questions if you have any at the end here. Okay. All right. One other setting I want to point out to you that you are not going to see if you're on your phone. You're not going to see it. And you're not going to see this on your iPad either. It will be on a desktop or a laptop. But in the upper left-hand corner, you might be able to see a little, well, you see 2 little icons maybe, but you should be able to see a little green shield with a check mark in it. It's way up in the corner. Sometimes you don't even notice it. Okay, that is the settings icon. And if you click on that, remember I took you through audio settings, video settings, and all of that? This is kind of an easy way to get to it without going down to your microphone or going down to the video camera or whatever. If you don't want to use that toolbar, this is another way to get to those settings. If you click on that green shield, you're going to see this big menu, this big white menu show up. Notice here that you can click on video, you can click on audio and make adjustments on those from that particular little settings icon. Sharing your screen, which you aren't doing, setting up a virtual background, recording, statistics and things like that you don't need to mess with. Remember I told you earlier to go down to that accessibility and click meeting controls to make sure that toolbar is always there. You can get to it from this green little shield as well. Okay, just so you know that that's there. I am not taking you through the zillion things that are in each of those settings, but I would highly suggest that you practice and you go through those and check them out. And I'm going to show you how to practice. Okay. So practice makes perfect. I didn't know a whole lot about Zoom. Obviously, the first time I did a Zoom, I did it with my kids. I had no clue. I was totally clueless. I went and I listened to Zoom tutorials. I went on Google and I typed in how to open a chat box. I had no idea how to open a chat box in Zoom. I watched the tutorials. I practiced. What I did was I opened a free account. If you don't have a free account, it's super easy. One of the attachments that came, so you got your PowerPoint attachment, there was a second attachment that you were supposed to open, and that is a how-to sheet on how to set up a free Zoom account. Super easy. This is a real quick rundown right here. So you would just go to zoom.us or US, you sign in, you have to create your account. It says create a free account. Host a meeting, that's a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click open Zoom meetings and you're in. That's how easy it is. You cannot break it, all right? Go in, click on all the buttons, look for the toolbar, look for the settings that we've gone through in today's training, okay? Play with it, click out of it, go back in, open up, start another meeting. You can always go to this, host a meeting in the upper right-hand corner, and it'll ask, if you click on host a meeting, it'll say with video on. Yes, click with video on so you can play around with it. When you're done with your practice, you go and click the red end button, which is usually on the right-hand side of your toolbar, and then you can end the meeting for all and you get out of it. You can do this anytime you want. That is how I have learned to do all of these things. Just practice until I figured it all out. And I watched their tutorials. So if you have questions, I'm going to open it up in a minute to any questions. Those of you who don't have questions, you're good to go. You don't need to hang out after I close up this meeting. If you want to, you can stay. More practice? Yeah. Go and create yourself a free account if you haven't already done so. Go on and just play around with all the tools that I showed you today. This is the last webinar for this particular content, but if you are interested in hosting a Zoom meeting, the toolbar is slightly different and the controls are a bit different. There is another webinar on the 30th of this month. It is a Thursday at 10:30. And it'll be pretty much a webinar. It's not going to be a workshop because I think there's about 60 people signed up for it right now. You're welcome to sign up for that, and then it'll show you how to host a meeting, kind of like what I'm doing right now. If you need to practice or you have questions, folks, my email is down at the bottom here, ronandsue82@gmail.com. Send me an email. You want to practice doing a Zoom? I'll log on with you. I'll do a Zoom back and forth. We can use it as a tutorial. That's what my job is to help you figure this out. So if you need help, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so just send me off an email. I am going to stop sharing my screen. And now I can see everybody, which is really, really nice. You can unmute yourselves. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you want to exit today's webinar, you can do so. You can click leave and leave the meeting, and that's okay. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you for being such great participants and willing participants and being good students and doing everything I asked. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like. For some reason, I unmute and everybody looks like they're still muted, but any questions that any of you have that I can answer or try to answer? Anything that anybody's having issues with? I think I covered everything. Yeah, Donna?
Thank you very much. This was very enlightening. I really, I knew some of the basics, but I didn't know anything about the participants other than the fact that there was a number there. So that was very helpful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, let me just tell you something. if you say, now that you've been through this, and if you have people in your divisions that say, yeah, I know all about Zoom, I go to Zooms all the time, but they don't know about a lot of these little things. If you think that we need another one of these webinars, we can schedule them in August too, and we can do the same kind of thing. But remember that the video of this webinar and the one yesterday, they're going to be posted on the CalRTA website. As I said, calrta.org. You don't have to log in. Scroll down till you see the box that says webinars. Click on that and click on the one that has the Zooms in it. And they'll be uploaded in a couple days, but you can go in at any time. You can also refer other people to that website and say, hey, go in if you missed it. Go in and watch it. It's going to help you as you are a participant. So you can do it that way too. But if you think we need more trainings, when you get a feedback form, I think Jim Sterling's going to send one out in a couple days or a day or so. You can put that in on a comment. Yes, we could use more trainings like this, or maybe offer the same trainings in August for people, because I know we're doing a lot of this. You know, it's going to be the new norm for us, I think, for quite a long time. Yeah, Barbara?
Thank you, Sue. The pacing was wonderful, very informative, easy.
Oh, good.
I appreciate
Thank you. Is it Monith?
Monith, yes, thank you. Thank you, I enjoyed this a lot. I just wondered if anybody else was on an iPad, because the beginning with the microphone and the video camera, I didn't have any of that on the iPad, any of those choices.
Yeah, that and with an iPad and with a cell phone, you're not going to get any of those choices. It's just whatever's in your phone. So that's one of those things that I try to mention early on, so people aren't frantically looking for these things. But you don't have those settings there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Sue.
Judy and Nancy, you got to unmute yourself if you have a question, or you guys going?
I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate what you
Doris.
have done.
Okay.
Yes, I really appreciate you putting this on, because I'm just learning how to do this. And my partner, Gay, feels like she knows how to do it. She's been doing a lot of meetings, but we really plan to do
I forgot where
Zoom
the
meeting.
raise your hand is.
Okay, hang on a second. Let's let Doris finish, and then we'll call on you. Go ahead,
We
Doris.
plan to do our board meeting in August.
Okay.
So I'm going to need more training, I know, or I need to practice a lot. But thank you so much for making me brave enough to do this.
Well, Doris, remember, if you need to email me and I'll practice with you. I'll just practice with you one-on-one, and I'll show you how to do that. But go to the webinar on the 30th, okay?
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
should be very helpful to you. Okay, Judy and Nancy, you guys
We're
have any
good.
questions? Oh,
We're
you're good.
good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, Donna?
Yes, I've done Zoom board meetings because my newsletter editor has hosted while I've conducted it, so it's worked out very well.
Nice.
But I am interested in a Zoom meeting with
Okay, hang on. I didn't hear that. Donna, say that one more time. You're interested in?
a Zoom meeting with my division, like a presentation. And so I guess hosting a meeting will be the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because what you can do, you can treat it like a webinar if you want to. Now you're going to be limited as to the number of people that can attend. Okay. So if you might have to schedule a webinar with Irene Wetzel for that purpose, if you're going to present to a lot of people.
Yes.
So that
That's
would
what
be
I'm
more,
interested.
yeah, it would be more a webinar then.
Present a webinar. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah. Mary?
So actually, you brought up the point, somebody, about the iPad. If there was any way to do a training for people using an iPad,
Good point.
I have really found that with a group that I've been Zooming with as being the most difficult. So I've been doing individual ones, and yet still we get on as a group and they have trouble. So that would be great. I also I'm going to attend the host the meeting, but I would like to do a Zoom with my division. And so I think anything that we can find as to how we have speakers or that CalRTA is willing to do would be great.
I think with, again, if you're going to host a meeting with your division, my suggestion would not necessarily to use Zoom. Okay, you're going to probably want to schedule that with Irene and do it as a webinar. And you can actually have guest speakers. If you've gone to the webinars, with David Walrath and Jennifer, you can have multiple speakers and then go through the presentation that way. And people are basically quiet, in the webinar, they're just watching it and just viewing it, but it can be done. But the webinar allows for more people when you're talking about a full, division. That's a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I have an account with my daughter that we can get 100 people. The reason for Zooming versus webinar is that what I've discovered is that people know how to Zoom,
Yeah.
and they don't know how to go to webinar. So that's a whole new training.
Yeah.
That so I'm sure there's a way to do it with Zoom.
There is.
Yeah.
There is a Zoom webinar, and Irene Wetzel has, she has created a CalRTA Zoom webinar account.
Okay.
So that allows more than 100 people. So that's an option. She's kind of looking at the ins and outs of that. I haven't been privy to that. So
Okay.
if you're interested in that, you might want to email Irene Wetzel and see where we are on that as far as how to. She says
Okay.
it's easier to set up a Zoom webinar than it is to actually set up the CalRTA GoToWebinar.
Great.
But she says the Zoom one is a little less sophisticated, so I'm not quite sure what that means. It might be a little easier or have fewer gadgets to deal with.
Right.
But anyway, that would be probably the option if you think you're going to have more than 100 people in attendance.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
I have a question.
Yeah, Diane?
I was just wondering, does the webinar cost money,
Oh, like this Zoom?
No, not the Zoom, but the webinar.
No, not if you go through CalRTA.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go through CalRTA, everything's free. And you guys can set up a pro account. That's what I'm using right now. It's a pro account for $14.99 a month. And you can Zoom for 24 hours straight if you want to. With a free account, you're limited to 40 minutes if you have more than 3 people. If you're just one-on-one, you can go kind of unlimited with one-on-one. But if you have 2 or more people or more than 2 people, then you're going to get cut off at 40 minutes with a free account. But my husband and I thought it was worth a $14.99 a month to get the pro account. It's actually cheaper now. They're having a sale, so you could go on. They're having a sale. And I think it's like $12.95 a month right now for the sale price. And you can host 100 people. You can go 24 hours. There's no time limit. So I think it's well worth it. I think it's well worth it.
Okay,
I'm going to write it off on my taxes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Okay.
You're welcome. Any others? Otherwise, I'm going to see you all. Bye. Thank you again for attending. I really appreciate it and hope to see you on the 30th.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Stay cool.